Well, the cost of everything, especially food, is skyrocketing as we battle inflation.
So you want to make sure that what you're buying is quality and that it lasts as long as possible.
And after ABC Action News anchor Lauren St. Germain learned about a contaminated box of cereal, she found a second one herself. So she looked into where on the supply chain this can happen and what we can all do at home to keep our food fresh.
This right here is something no one wants to see in a box of cereal. If you look closely, there are mealworms in this bag. A viewer gave me this video. She tells me she got the box one morning and opened the bag the same day. So I wanted to know if this was an isolated incident or if mealworms were inside any other boxes of cereal. So I went to the same store and found the same brand of cereal with a similar lot number. This right here is video of me opening the box. Clearly, it wasn't like the other bag, but after searching, there were a couple of mealworms inside the bag, and we have taken steps to confirm they are mealworms. So before we even figured out what to do with this information, I contacted the Target where we bought the box. The manager at the Target store told me they received 2 complaints, mine and our viewers, and they removed all the boxes with that lot code from the store shelves. I also spoke with the director of communications for Post Consumer Brands, which makes the cereal Honey Bunches of Oats with almonds. She told me they received 2 reports of mealworms in cereal, mine and the viewers, and no other reports of that happening elsewhere in the country. We also talked with a food safety expert. She tells me it's critical you inform the company and the store so they can investigate. But in a time when so many of us are really conscious about not wasting food, I wanted to learn more about where in the supply chain contamination can happen and how all of us can best store our food once we bring it home.
Oh yeah, so this is a pretty heavy infestation of worms. It's common to maybe find a few, but this is a lot.
Dr. Jill Roberts is watching the video you just saw. Mealworms making themselves at home.
These guys have been here for a while.
Inside a bag of cereal.
They're happily feasting on grain.
Dr. Roberts is an associate professor at USF and specializes in food safety. So first, let's address the question I know all of you have. What happens if you don't notice mealworms and accidentally eat them?
So the gross out factor aside, which yes, no one wants to eat those, right? They look really nasty. They're actually edible. And so mealworms are raised for feed. They're used for both animals and they're used for humans. In some places where it's hard to get protein, they're actually raised on purpose to be used for food.
In the case of these 2 boxes of cereal, we have no idea at what point along the supply chain worms got in. But we spoke with Dr. Seckin Ozgul, who is the director of the USF Supply Chain Innovation Lab, to get more perspective on where it could have happened.
So it can be multiple different locations within the supply chain nodes. It can be, again, the transportation node, where something like this can happen, or it can be the warehouse mode where something like this can happen as well.
Both of our experts explain companies are actively working to stop contamination from getting into your home.
So what is a production plant going to do to prevent it? They're going to do inspections. They can use blowers. They can use sieves where they use filters to get them out. But if they're tiny, tiny eggs, they may actually pass through some of that process.
Companies are going to be doing QA, QC, so basically quality assurance, quality control checks, to ensure that the product actually is transported throughout the supply chain in a healthy fashion. So when my product hits the shelves, the product is actually good to go. It doesn't have any defects.
And there are ways to best prevent contamination in food like grains once the products are in your cabinets at home.
If you're concerned, you can put your cereal in hard plastic containers. So not Ziploc bags, not the bags they come in. Put them in hard plastic containers. Things cannot burrow through those.
Dr. Roberts says the key here is to make sure your food stays dry.
So one thing that actually encourages the growth of those is moisture, which is going to be a problem because we live in Florida. The humidity is 1,000% at any given time.
So here's the bottom line.
So are they dangerous? Not at all. That said, we don't want them in our food, and we do take a lot of steps to try to keep them out.
Like I mentioned in the beginning of the story, you really need to report the issues with food products right away to both the store where you bought the item and the company that made it. You can also report it to the FDA. I put a link with more information on our website, abcactionnews.com. There you can also find the FDA's response about how it deals with contaminated products and consumer complaints. I'm Lauren St. Germain reporting.